Now, the final debate between US President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden is set for Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. That's in the early hours of tomorrow morning. That's South African time. Of course, you can catch it live right here on Channel 405. President Trump goes into that debate trailing his Democratic Party rival in national polls. And the debate is really seen as a must-win for him. Now, new rules give an uninterrupted 2 minutes to each candidate before they then enter into the open part of that event. You'll remember that the last debate was riddled with incessant interruptions by President Trump, with moderator Chris Wallace of Fox News really struggling to control that discussion there. To help us unpack what we can expect tomorrow night, we're joined now by John Matisonn, author and political analyst. John, good morning. Thank you so much for your time on the AM report. So we didn't see a debate last week. Really a lot of build-up for this one, the final one before the US goes to the polls on November 3rd.
That's right. And Trump is the one with the disadvantage. I mean, whatever your criticism of polls, there's no doubt that all the momentum seems to be on Biden's side at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just looking through my phone because I was looking for the number of how many people have already voted. That's an important discussion to have, because it's not so much about going to the polls on November 3rd when 12 days before Election Day, more than 40 million people have already voted.
That's right, and that's out of a total. Normally they get about 150 million, so it's getting close to a third. This is unprecedented. It's almost like South Africa, the way Americans are voting this time. They're really just crowding, and nobody expected it to be this much and this early.
So what do we read into that, John? Is it a disadvantage for Trump? Is it an advantage for Biden?
Right now, it's an advantage for Biden because they're able to determine. You can't tell how people have voted, but you can tell whether they're registered for which party. And the overwhelming majority of those who've already voted are registered as Democrats, in other words, for Biden. So that's definitely to Biden's advantage. But it's always known and been expected that on the day, it will be Trump's day. More Republicans will vote on election day. So Biden needs every vote he can get now.
So whenever we talk about these presidential debates in the run-up to election day itself, it's about trying to convince those voters who are still on the fence. But one does get the sense that, by now people have decided whichever way they're going to vote. So what's the importance of this debate tomorrow?
Well, it's obvious. Biden doesn't need this debate. He just needs to come out even, and that's to his advantage because he's ahead. Trump really needs this debate because he's behind. All the polls and all the indications are that Trump is losing this election. So he needs to turn it around. And of course, I think you referred to the first debate where he kept interrupting. And the polling shows that worked to Biden's advantage. The majority in all the polls I've seen said that Trump came across as a bully, and that was really bad. Then, of course, the second one was cancelled. So this is his last chance. And, of course, as you know, the rules have been changed so that the first 2 minutes of each candidate's talk will be muted. But the other side, the other candidate's microphone will be muted. But then, of course, there will be free discussion. And Trump has been advised by his handlers to behave rather differently and be more reasonable.
Well, that's going to be interesting, whether that kind of advice will be taken tomorrow, whether that kind of advice is ever taken by the president. John, if we think about some of the big issues that perhaps have set Trump back in these elections, COVID-19 is right up there. I saw someone talking about the issue yesterday on social media, and he was saying it's the first time he's seen someone get infected by a virus in the middle of a pandemic, and they've actually come out of it not very changed, not very different. I mean, we've seen just in the past days interviews with President Donald Trump where questions have been asked, questions have been put to him about, if you could have done things differently as it relates to your handling of COVID-19, What would you do differently? To which he responded, well, nothing.
Well, that's standard Donald Trump. He will never concede that he made an error. I mean, it's a game Trump watchers play to find him ever making an admission of an error or an apology. It almost never happens. But as many of the American pundits say, Trump's real opponent isn't Biden, it's COVID-19. And of course, Biden takes every opportunity to bring the debate back to COVID-19 because 220,000 Americans have already died. I mean, that's getting close to the number that Americans who died in the World War II. It's only 50,000 died in the Vietnam War, Americans. So it's 4 times that, or nearly 5 times that. So this is a very large number, and it's considered one of the worst, if not the worst, countries in the world for its handling of COVID-19. And, of course, it's devastated the economy. And even Trump's own allies in the Senate, the Republicans in the Senate, are resisting measures to give another bailout to people who've been, badly affected, lost jobs and so on. And many of the Republican senators are saying, no, it's against our philosophy of giving out government money. So that's hurt him too. And, of course, the Democrats and Biden are saying, people are hurting, they need support. And so the signs are not good for Trump.
So while we talk about some of the things that are not good for Trump, John, how do we read the things that are perhaps putting Biden on the back foot?
Oh, yes. Well, the 2 issues Trump is likely to raise, to the degree that he raises proper issues, the one will be corruption around Biden's son, Hunter. Hunter has undoubtedly benefited from his father's position. He was given directorships in Ukraine and stuff in China, and there's no doubt that was done, and his son greatly benefited. I regard that as corrupt, but the truth is it's not illegal, and it's quite common in America and in Washington. So that's really bad. Also, there have been recent reports that by the New York Post, one of the Murdoch papers, and Fox News, also Murdoch media, that have exposed emails between Hunter and some of his business associates. Now, they haven't been confirmed to be true. I think they probably are true, but again, they don't expose much that's worse, and to the degree that they're true. And also, I mean, of course, a lot of that. The allegation that Biden's son Hunter uses his name to make contacts is what Trump does in plain sight at Mar-a-Lago every weekend. So, I don't think it lands that effectively. The other issue that Trump is likely to raise is, will Biden try to pack the Supreme Court? If Biden becomes president, and Trump has already appointed 3 very conservative justices to the Supreme Court, so it gives the right wing a control of the Supreme Court. Will Biden add judges? And so far, Biden has refused to answer, but he has said he will answer before Election Day. So that's the other issue that's likely to be raised.
Well, John, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 2:30. I'm sure you'll be tuned into the Newsroom Africa broadcast of that debate. It's 3 a.m. South African time. John Matisonn, thank you so much for your time this morning on the show as we build up to that special broadcast of the final U.S. presidential debate. 40 million people in that country have already cast their vote, but we are building up to Election Day, which is November 3rd. The debate broadcast will start at 2:30 a.m. Central African time, and that is on Friday morning. It's basically the middle of the night.